Goodness gracious. In one word,
Yes.
gratifying.
Oh, love it. And
Gratifying.
why? Yeah, why?
Fashion is very, very personal. Although it is related to trends, which is basically set by markets, I find fashion to be incredibly individualistic. It has to be a portrayal of, your character, your persona. And at the end of the day, fashion is what you wear, but style is how you wear it.
Ooh, I love that. That was something, just as, we were about to start the show, I thought that was such a profound thing. Fashion is,
Fashion is what you wear.
but style is?
Style is how you wear it.
Love it,
And I
love
think
it,
your
love
style is basically a representation of you as a person, keeping in mind, obviously, one has to take into consideration we've all got unique and specific body types. So you want to dress your best for your specific build, but there's no reason as to why you can't glow up with your own specific niche taste that makes it a TC creation.
I love that. I love that. So, you specialize in haute couture, right?
Correct.
And bespoke design. So, how do you define haute couture in the age of fashion and social media trends?
Well, the wonderful thing about couturing
Yes.
is that you cannot be taught it. It is actually something that is bestowed upon a person after you have reached a certain amount of experience, because haute couturing is when garments are no longer cut from actual flat patterns anymore. It's actually cut from your mind.
Yo.
So the reason why haute couturing is actually so expensive is because it is a once-off creation that is draped off one time, and if it fits, she takes it. But you can never ever create
That specific same thing
dress
ever again.
And I've had so many people contact me and say, we'd love to purchase the pattern for that dress that you made back, when Jesus was a corporal. And it's quite funny because there's no pattern to give.
Yes.
It's a unique way of cutting fabric. It's a unique way of draping that fabric to get the best essence of that fabric, make it work for your specific body type. And that's what makes it so niche. So it makes it so brilliant.
Right.
So it's a once-off. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to find that creation anywhere else.
As much as people might because we always see the what I ordered versus what I got thing, where now people try to replicate things. Like you say, you see something, it's nice on somebody, and then you try to order that same thing, and then you get it, and it's like, or you try to recreate, or
the one thing about haute couturing is, there's a lot of schooling fees because the only way that you can basically correct your art is by making those mistakes.
Yes.
So let me tell you, I should write a book.
It
should be quite interesting. But the fact of the matter is, it's such a blessing once you've actually, come into that prime of your life, because it's the one thing that sets you apart from all your other competitors. It's the one thing that you can offer that other people don't. And that's why they tend to focus mainly on something such as, let's say, corporate wear, or they go into sportswear, or they go into lingerie, and then that's basically what they specialize in, and that's it. But what I love about haute couturing is that if it is an essence of a person's personality and character, not one creation could actually look the same. So the thing is, it keeps it interesting.
Yes.
And I can tell you something, I've even been blown away by the final product.
Yes.
Because I never ever expected.
Because even you, while making the garment, you're just like, I'm trusting the process.
Yes.
It's a trust the process type of thing.
Well, look, you actually become so close with your client because, at the end of the day, as much as she might be paying,
yes,
she's representing your brand, your label. So, at times you have to, really be, without being condescending, you've got to be very diplomatic and say, can we please start hiding the cookie jar?
Yes.
Or can we maybe start eating some KFC?
Yes.
So it's quite interesting how their body forms play into it, and you develop that relationship with them, and so you get to know them, and as their minds change, as they always do, and show me a woman who's not having a dress made, that's not on some crash diet of the century. So it's quite interesting, but you really get into the psychology of it and how it all comes together. And I tell you, it's actually what they remember is the journey.
Yes, true.
It's not the final product. It's not about that celebrity walking down the carpet.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they wore that dress and it just made them feel incredible. And what I do with my niche market designs, especially if it's a matric farewell or even bridal, I try to add an element of surprise that catches them completely off guard. And unless they know the difference, it's not about them giving me the validation for it. It's me knowing that I've actually done something different that I never did before, and so I'm still learning.
So that's why you used gratifying as the one word to describe this fashion journey,
100%.
right?
And it's I've never worked a day in my life. Because I've got such a passion for what I have, and I think it's a blessing. Not many people can actually say that, and it's a very isolated industry. But you know what? You need to understand that, the road of success is a very lonely journey.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that can never level up to where you are, and if you're constantly climbing, you outgrow relationships, you outgrow your family sometimes, and you need to know that your dedication becomes your art. And if you are happy and content in what you do on a daily basis, then what more could you ever actually possibly want?
Right? Because I know with your journey right now with 20 years, you started your training and it was moderated by the London College of Arts. How has that international influence shaped your design aesthetic?
Goodness.
International, because you be out here, man.
It's crazy. I can only equate it to someone perhaps asking, Celine Dion, do you ever acknowledge the gift?
Yeah.
And she won't know what to say because she was born with it. So it's not like, boom, one day she knew how to sing.
Yes.
She's had this instrument and this has been her life. And for me, it's being able to channel my client's personality and turn a piece of fabric into an absolute piece of art, and it keeps the creative juices flowing. But in terms of international styling, international validation, that was something that we weren't educated on either.
Wow.
It just my tertiary education just basically came in with that solid foundation.
Yeah,
this is the standard of work that we're expecting. And it will explain why in our first year we were 25, in our second year we were 5, and in our third year only 2 of us graduated.
Yeah, true.
So it's quite an interesting, it's a cutthroat industry, but then, one also needs to, separate the logic from the emotion, because people tend to get very, very up in their head and, egotistical and it's crazy because all of a sudden now we're not emulating fashion, we're emulating stylists, we're emulating celebrities, and that's the thing, we'll always remember them for what they wore, but I don't know, some of them don't even deserve those Oscars.
I love it. Nico Willoughby, what is your touch that every garment of yours or something that you would say, no, this is my unique thing. This is
my je ne sais quoi.
Yes, this is, if you see this garment and it has this is the Nico Willoughby touch, and you will know this was made by me. I put the magic touch on this thing.
Well, after 20 years, I'm still the only person who will start a garment and finish a garment. I don't have people working for me.
Really?
So the thing is, by the time I'm fully booked for the year, it makes perfect sense because people are coming, and your clients always come back to you.
Yes.
And if she's got 5 daughters, then she's going to have to sell her husband. But the fact of the matter is, that what sets me apart from everyone else is, apart from the personal connection that you make with them, is the quality control.
Oh, I love it.
The hands-on, when the work actually speaks for itself. When people, a lot of my clients don't know what they want until they see it. And, unfortunately, it does come with a price tag. But with that being said, their minds change very quickly. Because it's the difference between touching taffeta and touching raw silk.
Ooh.
What are you going to go for? So, you want to feel that luxury. You want to feel, and that actually introduces them into an essence where, you know, if you've ever had an opportunity to dress up before, now's the time. So, and they'll never ever forget it.
Definitely.
So, you know, it's the journey that I develop with them. It's that sense of professionalism, but it's, you know, when you actually talk, people pay attention, and it's not because, you know, nonsense confuses the brain. I would have said something else.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, you know, you speak your truth, and you speak your knowledge, and you speak from experience, and it doesn't demand that respect, it actually commands it.
Oh.
And that's the difference. Not a lot of people can actually talk and people listen.
Yes.
So, well, I hope this is making sense.
I don't know. It is making sense. I mean, we were talking about our personalities, right? And how many of them we have.
Yes.
Your designs are known for breaking boundaries. Like you're saying, you know, I mean, I'm Nico Willoughby, and every time I get in touch with the person that I'm working with, that I'm making the design for. So what's one fashion rule that you aim to break, or that you break over and over again?
Less is not more.
Less is not more.
Less is not more. Not more. You know what? If you've ever been given an opportunity to step into your light, you know, to introduce yourself to that glow up, let me tell you, it's not going to take just one pair of Swarovski crystal earrings.
Yeah.
You were given 10 fingers for a reason.
Yes.
And you know what? If that's you, then do you.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about fashion is, you know, I try to keep it as creative and as artistic as possible, because the artistic flair actually makes it a piece of art.
Yes.
And that is why when it comes to these red carpet creations, the reason why we can never forget them is because there's always that shock factor.
True.
So, you know, a perfect example is, you know, in my 20 years, I've only made one yellow dress in my entire life. And it's because there was only one client who actually had the proper skin tone for that yellow dress. But let me tell you, no one can forget it.
Yeah, true.
No one can forget it. So, you know, little moments like that will stick with me. You know, when fathers come to the final fittings and, you know, they end up resenting me because, you know, for the first time, they finally realize that their little girl has turned into a woman. And it's like, oh, well, someone please pass the Kleenex, you know, this oak needs therapy. But it's actually, it's such a gratifying, justified compliment, because it's the only thing that you have that actually tells you that whatever you're doing, somehow you're doing it well. And I've never been able to, well, I've never had to say, you know, you're gifted, you're talented, and the difference between the two, and applying yourself. I think it's just all about discipline, staying focused, keeping with the trends, and just being your authentic self in order to identify other people's authentic self.
Great wording there. I love that. And you were so worried that, am I making sense? You definitely make sense. That makes sense to me.
Until we watch the playback.
This is like, no, it does make sense. It makes sense as in this moment. And of course, we're always about being present here. So do you think fashion is more about art or utility, or is it somewhere in between?
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, functionality is and practicality is very important. I mean, you know, I get these potential clients with these drawings that they've done, and I'm like, you know, how are we going to get into this outfit?
Yes.
Where's the closures? I mean, do we lower you down with a crane, or how's this? And then some of the dresses are so tight they can't even sit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one wants to go with functionality and practicality, but there's a lot of ways of
being
zhooshing something up and making it so unique. But if your client is unhappy and if people actually feel her uncomfortability, you've done her such an injustice. So,
yeah, I've seen like sometimes on these award shows, like you see with Beyonce, the underwire of
listen,
her
my
dress.
darling, there's a reason why her glam team follows her.
Yes.
It's because if she takes a step in the wrong direction, she's probably going to bust a rib. Because her corset is probably so tight. Meanwhile, it's holding in her breasts, her chin, and her big toes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You know, it's absolutely crazy what people will do for fashion.
Yes.
But then again,
it's an art.
That's more of a validation to the designer than the celebrity wearing the dress. I mean, they should be known for their music or for their movies. But yeah, no, look, I've had a couple of incredible showstoppers, with LED lights and electronics and.
So you've added like things like that to dresses.
My darling, I tell you, some of these dresses look like Christmas trees. They could be seen from Mars. And it's quite interesting because it actually steps up a bit.
Yes.
Something that's never been done before.
Unconventional, and I mean it's self-expression.
Until
it's
she
art.
shocks herself.
Yes, but like it's an art, like you're saying. I mean, like you adding those things. It's a self-expression.
The wonderful thing is, it's not as though you have sold a concept to her that she's completely unfamiliar with.
Yes.
What I love is, look, celebrities will wear the top designers and do themselves an injustice, whereas Lady Gaga will wear a meat dress, and yet people tend to forget that the reason why she wore that was because she wanted to tell the world that women should stop being looked at as a piece of meat.
Yes.
As a piece of meat. And I mean, how else was she going to bring her point across? I mean, look, I'm not saying that, I'm going to start advocating beef and start, sewing it into seams. But at the end of the day, I think if the whole purpose justifies the means and the cause, then fine. That's your mission statement. And my mission statement is to ensure that whatever characteristics that dress might exude on its own, that my client wears the dress and the dress doesn't wear her. It must bring out her personality. It must bring out the best part of her. And that's why they will never forget their wedding day. That's why they will never forget their matric farewell, because for those 7 hours, you don't want to remember how your feet hurt, or how you nearly bust a rib, or you couldn't go to the bathroom.
Pictures, man.
Yeah, no, look, and that's all you have at the end of the day.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you have the memories and the pictures.
100%.
Definitely. So, Fashion Fun Zone. We're about to play a little fun game with Nico. I hope you're ready. So let's play a little fun game, right? I say a fashion cliche, and you tell me if it's fabulous or outdated. You ready? Awesome. Men shouldn't wear pink.
Updated.
Awesome. You can't wear sequins in the daytime.
Updated.
Okay. Bridal gowns must be white.
Crap.
Wow. Okay. One outfit can't be worn twice.
Whoa. That's a tough one. Because it depends on what reaction you got from the first time you wore it. And sometimes women just don't get the message.
So like you have to wear it the second time around for people to like.
No, but I mean, this is the thing. If she looks like an overstuffed love seat, I mean, how is that? How is that a compliment to anyone? So she's doing such an injustice to herself. And the craziest thing is, until someone says that, everyone, oh, you're lovely. Oh, you know what? Then I don't want you in my life, because you actually you're a liar. Yeah.
You would literally allow me to go out looking horrible just because
that's why I don't have
you don't
any
want to
friends.
hurt my. Oh, what?
And I come from Polokwane, so you must know it's the land of the khaki.
So now really when like you're saying you come from Polokwane, so how was it like living in Polokwane, where really you're saying most of the things that being worn there, it's khakis, so like how was that?
It was actually quite inspiring.
Really?
Because you won't believe this, I've made a couple of wedding dresses out of that camo sniper khaki fabric.
I would love to see one.
It was the worst 5 months of my life. But I must tell you, she really blended in with the bush. And apart from the fact that you could never find her because she was camouflaged, the dress really was made to her body type. So,
she looked fabulous.
She looked fabulous. And you know what? They got married in the bush, and I think she climbed a baobab tree or whatever they do. But, it is what it is.
It is what it is, true. So, a quick sketch challenge. If you had to design a dress inspired by Joburg nightlife and TikTok energy, what would it look like? So now here we are playing imagination. And I know because a lot of imagination goes into designing, right? Am I right or wrong?
Yes, it's inspired by it.
Yes, right? Because I mean, you have to kind of see it. And then sketch
this is where you've caught me out now.
Really?
I've been in Joburg for 3 years and I've never gone out.
Really?
I've never entertained the nightlife.
Oh my goodness.
No, okay, well, look, applications for French new friends,
Friendships,
yeah, because I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
But I mean, TikTok, are you into TikTok?
Oh, yes. No, look, I mean, I know the trends and all the, and as soon as you start following one, you make it your own, and then all of a sudden it's so outdated.
And it's taken over your whole
and that is why
aesthetic
and I mean, it's a fad.
Yeah,
it's a fad. So it's
passing.
like it's hard to keep up with the times, and then you get people that keep up with the wrong times, because then you get old aunties that are now dressed as lamb. And it's because they're stuck in their own generational curse, and they don't know the difference. So then when it comes to their nightlife, they end up going to, let's say, a younger place where you're thinking, oh, goodness, bulletproof glass looks rather inviting. So, no, look, so I don't entertain the nightlife, so that's a bit of a tricky one. But with that being said, paint the scenario, and I'll see if I can try and answer that. So what we going with Joburg's nightlife with TikTok vibe.
With TikTok energy. So would it be like, a flared dress, princess-like? Or would it be like figure hugging with sequins? And, have you seen the trend now that we're going for with the cinching waist? And then, the hourglass figure.
I'm really, really loving the trumpet style at the moment.
The trumpet style.
And then the pumpkin has actually made a fantastic return.
Okay.
Because it's almost like one size fits all.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very comfortable. It's durable. And it's funny how, fashion is this repetitive cycle.
So yes, it does have like ways of coming back. Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, vintage sometimes can look dope if you're pairing it nicely, and like you say, you're adding your own style to it and making it modern, but you're mixing.
Look, I mean, I've got a lot of old school concepts that are just I'm set in my ways.
Like the 20s.
No, not necessarily. It's just, if you're going to do something, you can zish it up, but you can still keep it classy.
Yes.
You can still keep it stylistic. You can still keep it sassy. But then, there's a very, very fine line. And, I don't know what people are smoking these days. But, when I saw women wearing sneakers with dresses, I nearly did an absolute 360. I couldn't believe that now I was adorning sneakers with lace that was supposed to match a wedding dress. And I thought, okay, comfortability. And if you're really a sneakers kind of person
like it forms you,
then find it's you, you do you. But there's just a certain touch to that elegance that just keeps it so classy. And then when they derail that, it's like wearing orange with green. It's just never going to work. So, there has to be some kind of conformity and everything. It just loops everything together. And it's in knowing the difference that you step into your power. But yeah, Joburg's nightlife in comparison to the TikTok, goodness gracious, it sounds like a headache.
Right?
Yeah, and a serious hangover. The kind that makes you feel like you're recovering from minor surgery the next day.
So a closet confession. What's the wildest or most unexpected design request you've ever gotten, and did you take it on?
Oh my goodness, I could go to jail for this.
Good.
No, it was actually for a wedding gown, and it was something that very, very, very creative. But I won't go into much detail. But It was something that was actually sewn into the lining of her wedding dress. Only because it was meant to surprise her husband when he went up there to pull down her garter.
Oh.
And although he was blindfolded, he would have known exactly what it was. But it borderline something very similar to that of a chainsaw.
Yeah.
So can you imagine finding something like that, a heavy tool instrument like that?
Like you're just like trying to.
Yeah, I'd be filing for divorce. But no, look, it was quite imaginative. I've also. I did a dress out of LED sheets that were actually imported from Italy. And, the filament fibers within the actual LED sheet can't bend, because when they do, they lose their light.
Their light, yes.
And the light sources only come from the ends. So by the time she's climbed into the car, climbed out of the car, and, she's bent those, you don't get the whole effect.
Yeah.
Unless she's standing at the back of an open flatbed. And we put so many LEDs into this dress that she actually needed a converter for her 9-volt battery, which weighed more than the dress itself. and it had to be sewn into her petticoat, and I don't know how she carried that weight. I don't know how she carried that weight. And then she still did her photo shoot in a river.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my goodness, this girl's going to die.
And I'm going to be responsible.
She's going to be electrocuted.
Yes, and I'm going to be responsible. Oh my goodness, Nico, what are you doing? But you took it on, and it was amazing, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, it came with its challenges because, I mean, look, I'm not an electrician. So when it comes to wiring and stuff like that, look, I've made dresses with porcupine quills that nearly stabbed her to death.
And that's how you, and that's how you challenge yourself also as a
100%.
designer, right? Because you're always like, okay, you're bringing me this challenge. I see what you want to do with it. I mean, I'm not an electrician, but hey, man, let's do it. Because
well, I can actually tell you, I had a very interesting client. She wanted a custom-made corset.
Yes,
but she was a certain professional that entertained matters of the night.
Yes.
And so her outfit had to be made out of leather, and it was actually a very, very dominatrix kind of style. And she had that fetish that actually singed in her entire waist to the size of the top of a wine glass. And she had done this over a period of 24 months, whereby the corsetry I made her had to be laced in tighter every single month for her body to actually adjust like that, which looked rather painful because it looked like one simple breeze and she'd snap in half.
Yes.
And when she released the corset, so it was actually, it was redefining her silhouette.
Oh, okay.
And with the 24-month period, obviously her organs had shifted into wherever they needed to be. And she wore it 23 hours a day. And she only took it off to bath. And it was absolutely crazy because she had to end up going for gym sessions to strengthen the muscles in her back, because the muscles in her back had become so reliant on the corset that if she fell downstairs, she would have actually broken her entire back. And the boning that we used in her corsetry was proper whale boning. So let me tell you, the lengths that people won't go to, for fashion. And, we were talking about it earlier, how in the 1960s, women used to amputate their pinky toes because when stilettos came out, they lost feeling in their toes. So they just took it off.
Yes.
So, but how's it any different to how the Chinese do foot binding and all the rest of it? It's there is a fine line, but then you also get your extremes, and your question with regards to Joburg's nightlife and TikTok vibe is one of those extremes.
Yes.
We're living in such strange times.
Yes.
And
where people have been told anything is possible. It's literally, you are the limitation. If you can stretch yourself, and we've seen people getting BBLs and modified.
Well, look, it's constantly evolving. So you look at fashion and
the beauty standard.
Well, look, I graduated in 2005. So, the latest fabrics. I've even thought of maybe perhaps doing a refreshers course. But then I thought to myself, do you know what? It shouldn't have to be working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Because you cannot jippo the process. Every single time I've made a mistake, because I'm not perfect and I've learned from it, it's because I've always had to go back to basics.
Yes.
So the thing is, you're just fooling yourself if you think that there are easier and quicker ways, because even if you are gluing stuff on now, we know that that's not going to last after one wash. So is that really haute couture? Is it more hands-on? Is it more decorative? Can that piece of art actually be validated for the work that's gone into it? So, in a lot of ways, it's very, very interesting, because if you look at that concept, just keep to the fundamental rules that as fashion evolves, so you can equate with it, level up, and teach yourself newer ways of working with those fabrics. And that's the thing. I actually pity the kids that are studying at the moment, because we were taught the old school way.
Yes.
That when your sewing machine, you first had to service your sewing machine before you could even operate or even sew anything. And the thing is, that didn't work. It was all hand done.
Yes.
Now, these days, people push a button and the machine might as well just do it for you.
For you, yes.
So, look, I've always kept to my old school methods, and it might take longer, but I think that's the only way that adds to that quality control. And I get a lot of grannies that turn my dresses inside out. It's like, oh, in my heyday we did this. I'm thinking, oh goodness, okay, here it comes, here it comes. So no, look, it's very, very interesting, and so fashion is constantly evolving, but then it's also in that loop cycle, and we just
comes back.
It comes back
360.
And well, listen, I look at my own fashion trends that I used to follow, because I mean I think I'm quite a weirdo in my own right. But with that being said, it was always to make that statement. I won't say that where I grew up it was very well received, but let's just say they won't forget me.
Yeah, there you go. Fabulous. They'll never forget you.
As you get older, I think that's when you actually realize the difference of the impact that you've made to your industry. Because the thing is, you want to be remembered for something, and I think I've actually sent a lot of people to therapy. So you take it from whence it comes, and just don't send me your bill.
I love that. So I know that we've been speaking women fashion, right? I mean, matrics and weddings don't only have women in them. There's also men.
Yes.
Have you ever dressed men?
Yes. Men are actually worse than women.
Oh.
Men are worse than women.
Oh.
And normally when I do custom-made suits, it's quite a special case because it validates him being a bodybuilder.
Yes.
Where, the shoulders or the body is actually more out of proportion than usual.
Yes.
The thin waist, broader shoulders, bigger arms. Sometimes I even look at the patterns that I've constructed and I look at those measurements. I'm thinking there is no way on God's green earth that this is, because it looks like an alien when it's on the hanger until he puts it on.
Yes.
And it is absolutely incredible. So I think the art is being able to manipulate a pattern to someone's measurements so it's custom made to them, because that within itself is a arithmetic like you cannot believe, because whenever you alter something it always affects something else.
Yes.
So and as women, whether they lose weight or centimeters, we don't always lose the centimeters where we want them
to. Yeah.
So and if we do, it takes longer in certain places. So when it comes to that, and men's fashion in particular, let me tell you, if they could do anything to exude the size of their calves, or really bring out the ripple in their, I don't know, veins in their arms or whatever. it's quite a intricate thing, but that on the other side is more tailoring. That's not fashion design.
Yeah, that's
so it's
not
tailoring, and that's an art all on its own. I don't particularly favor it because it becomes too monotonous. A blazer is a blazer, and you just tweak the style or maybe the color or the fabric, contrast textures here and there. But unless you Nathaniel and you come to me for a custom-made cloak, cape in a wheelbarrow, then I want the challenge.
Yeah, right.
I want something different, and but still, it's still being able to represent the garment for what it stands for, the occasion that it stands for, and the fact that, if anything, he looks tailored.
So any advice for men regarding, like, let's say, belt, shoes, accessories?
Oh, goodness, yes. I deal with this all the time. To ensure that your shoes and your belt and the rest of your accessories always match.
Is that really a thing? Because I know that, I've heard that before, that for men, like, your shoes, your belt, and what did you say?
Oh, well, your other accessories.
And your accessories, like your watch, they somehow need to coordinate.
Well, think about this. I mean, you're taking your wedding pictures and you look at the groom and the groomsmen, and they're all wearing brown shoes, brown belts, but they're all different shades of brown. And there's nothing worse than the shoes look like they've been walking through mud because they're a darker shade.
Yes.
And that is why the camaraderie and communication between them is essential, because rather say the belt's on Temu, everyone just go
and
place your orders
one,
and get that one. Because look, at the end of the day, you are buying a special item of clothing for someone's special day. But I mean, that's nothing in comparison to the pictures that you are stuck with. And I'm sorry, with my OCD, I'd take a Cokie and I'd actually color it in,
Yes.
Or if you don't know the difference between browns, then rather just stick with the black.
Yes.
But there has to be a balance in clothing. So it would just make sense to me that your shoes match your belt, and then, I don't know, someone started wearing pineapple SpongeBob socks, and that was a fad. And I find that a lot of men are becoming a bit more eccentric in the linings of their tailor-made outfits that speak more to them in terms of the color or the pattern or the paisley print or whatever, or the type of fabric. So, they're really stepping into their light. But yeah, I would just say, just ensure that all your accessories match. And please, if they're offering a gift, a token of appreciation for being my groomsman, can the cufflinks just be the same color?
Exactly.
So, no, look, there is a certain, let's say, a program that people follow, and it's not rocket science. It just needs some extra thought.
True.
And when it comes to men in fashion, well, depending on what spectrum you find yourself on, metrosexuality is now definitely in. It's
Metrosexual, yes.
Well, it's the ultimate divine right now.
Yeah.
And until men actually started making the extra effort, now they see the difference.
Yes, like I look better because I took that extra time.
Yeah, I can feel my wife actually loves me now. Yeah, because you cut your toenails. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
True. So I love that. That's good. That's good fashion advice for men. So your accessories need to match. So your belt, your shoes, and whatever accessory you have must match. I hope you heard that, men. If you are watching right now. So if you could design a look, right, for any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Elton John.
Oh, I kind of had a feeling you'd say Elton John. Why?
Well, look, it's not only because he's family, but it's because I don't know of anyone else who has actually lived their true, unapologetical, authentic fashion style.
Nice.
He has, look, at a lot of his looks were questionable. And I don't think that there was, a method to his madness. Maybe he just should stop with the drugs a bit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he made it unapologetically him.
Yes.
And even if you pulled that off, I still don't think it would still be missing something.
Yes.
And it would be missing him.
Yes.
And he just had this, awkward looking person, but yet somehow when he walked out on stage, he commanded that respect.
True.
And whether he felt like a knob for doing it, at the end of the day, he still did it.
True.
He still did it, and he got away with it.
True.
And look at all these different ranges of sunglasses, and
I saw that, like those funky sunglasses.
But
they
then
look nice.
he went to headdresses, and even Freddie Mercury. Although he didn't have quite an eclectic taste as Elton John, but it doesn't mean to say that it wasn't within the same movement. And that's one thing that will stick with us forever. So. True. I'd like to just sit down with him for an hour, and maybe push that envelope a bit. Although I don't know, is the oak still alive? But it would be quite interesting because I think he would still stay authentically him,
Elton John,
and he'd make it his own. And I think that is a perfect expression of someone's perfect styling.
Nice. So finish the sentence for me. Fashion is at its most powerful when.
It introduces you to your glow up.
Ooh! Fashion is at its most powerful when it introduces you to your glow up. And of course, just as a parting question, what's next for you, Nico Willoughby? Any exciting launches or shows we should be watching out for? Anything that's coming up for you?
Well,
matric season is coming up. I know that for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, look, as repetitive as the season might be, it will never be monotonous.
Yes.
But what I can say is that what's not in the pipeline, the world's my oyster, and in my industry, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
And I've been getting my feelers out there, and I've been avoiding the competition because there's no such thing as competition when you're in a class of your own, and I'm trying to find my people who are that class. So maybe I should start getting out there a little bit more. And there's so many award opportunities that I've kind of denied because until you believe that you're in that light, you don't feel you deserve to be in that light. And the mere fact that I'm sitting here with you is a clear indication that whether you like it or not, that divine light is going to find you.
It's going to find you.
So stepping into my light, I can tell you something right now. Watch the space. Watch this space.
Watch this space. I love that parting word from Nico Willoughby. I mean, whether you're looking to just, fit into something that is figure hugging or that shows off your style or just make a fashion statement, Nico Willoughby is the person to go for. So can you tell us where people can find you in order to get in touch when they're looking for designs or obviously your services?
Well, look, at the moment, I would say that 90% of my business is based on every single social media platform in existence.
Yes.
So it actually has my entire portfolio. And the reason why I do that is because it doesn't matter what build or what specific body type. At the end of the day, there is a style for every single person. And so I validate that in my entire portfolio because one shouldn't judge the style that the client's paid for. But at the end of the day, they'll see the capability. I think the work speaks for itself. It commands a certain respect. And I think social media right now is perhaps the best. So if you guys can maybe just add the link, because just saying Willoughby-Smith is a cracker on its own. But at the end of the day, it's the best platform in terms of variety.
Yes. Okay. So they can get a hold of you on your website. You say. Cool. Amazing stuff, man. And as you've heard, bold, fabulous, and unforgettable. Those are words I would use to describe Nico Willoughby. And of course, this amazing conversation we've had about the world of haute couture fashion. And of course, I am grateful that you came and shared your fabulous Friday with us here and the Vuga Nation. So you have now let us know that, you know what, fashion isn't only an art and, it's not just about being yourself, but standing out. And I love that you said, you know what? Fashion is at its most powerful when it introduces you to your glow up. So those were amazing words that were said by Nico Willoughby. Of course, Vuga Nation, it has been the fashion blog with me, Utisiga Mazibuga Shabalala, and Nico Willoughby on this fabulous Fashion Friday. Don't go anywhere.